Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is our open house that we do before each term to answer any questions that you might have about the program. First of all, we're going to do a little bit of a short presentation outlining everything that goes on at Kepler College. First of all, the big question is, why would you choose to go to Kepler College? And of course, there's a few reasons. There's lots of choices. We recognize there's lots of places that you can learn astrology out there. But one of the big things that we think is a strength at Kepler College is that we have small class sizes. And everything is happening live. So we don't have pre-recorded classes. We do have some. We do have some self-paced classes that you can take as a pre-record. But everything that you need to receive your diploma, you're taking in real time. So you're able to ask the instructor any questions that you have while the class is going on. And of course, with these classes, in each class, you're going to be given assignments and quizzes and forums that you need to do to prove your level of participation and that you're, of course, understanding the material. And the instructors are giving you direct feedback on the assignments. So this is something that I think is, important in any kind of astrology education, because if you start going down the wrong path, you have somebody that can help to correct you. For all of the faculty, it's really important that you succeed. And so it's not so much about, did you get the question right or wrong? Yes, you pass, no, you fail. The objective that we all have is that if you found that you were on your learning journey and you get some feedback back that, oh, you didn't quite catch that, then, we want you to succeed. So we give you the opportunity to try it again and to work it again until we are confident that you have learned the material for that week and indeed for your final assignments. We have different instructors virtually in every class that's required for the diploma. So this is another thing that I think is a huge Kepler strength, is that you're going to learn astrology from people from all different perspectives. And even within the classes being taught by those astrologers, you're going to be presented with views throughout history so that you're not finding that somebody's attached this to one particular view. And the goal, of course, is to help you to develop your critical thinking skills, among other things. And of course, because we have a professional development certificate, a bunch of professional development classes, and an emphasis on consulting, the ultimate goal is to help you build your astrology practice. So by the end, with a number of practicums, we believe you would have the confidence to go out on your own and to, whether you want to become a consulting astrologer or, another type of astrologer, a research astrologer, that you will have the tools that you need in order to do that. Do any of the other panelists here have anything that they would like to add to that?
Just that there was a comment in the chat that live classes were not actually put in as a bullet point, but that is really very, very important and is one of the main things that sets Kepler apart.
Yeah. Did I miss anything, Carol or Inga?
Well, let me add something there. We do have students in our classes, particularly the early classes, that are all around the world. And everything is taped, the videotape of the live chat session. So even I have students in China, in Australia, in Turkey, whatever, and it's maybe midnight for them. Most of the time they show up. However, we have them taped, and if we know the student has watched the video and responds appropriately, I give them credit. I don't know what the other teachers do, but they have access to the live session. through
Yeah, that's
video.
actually a really good point, Carol. Yeah, all of the classes are recorded and you have access to them to up to 3 years. So even if for whatever reason you should happen to fall behind, you can go back and access those recordings. And as you said, as Carol said, you can, if you're in a weird, wonky time zone that doesn't line up with when the class is being taught, for the most part, you just do your assignments virtually. Of course, that's not going to work as well when we get to the practicum side of things. But even at that, the instructors will work it out for you. So there's no barrier in terms of time zone, in terms of whether you would be able to complete your diploma. All right, should we move on? These are some of the affiliations that Kepler College has. And so we do have an agreement with NCGR PAA that our graduates are recognized as having an equivalent to level 3. That doesn't mean you automatically get the certificate, but you do have that equivalent. And if you decide to take your level 4, you would be able to do that without taking the earlier exams. With ESAR, of course, you have to write their exam, but you will have all of the tools that you need by the time you're finished with diploma to be able to write that particular exam. And the AFA was the last one that we have. Of course, our graduates are granted professional membership status once they've completed the diploma program. So those are the 3 organizations, and there's other, we have some parallels. So if you are working also towards your OPA certification, for example, they will accept many of the classes that we offer that they also have as requirements, such as astronomy and consulting. So there's a few crossovers there. The first place that most people start is in the fundamentals certificate. And to get the basic certificate, you need to have 30 weeks of study. And those are the first 3 classes of fundamentals: introduction, alternate tools, and building delineation skills. And so that's a 30-week certificate. If you want to take the advanced certificate, then you need an additional 10 weeks. That's a practicum. And the certificate is a requirement for the diploma. All 4 of these classes are a requirement for the diploma, but you can just take the first 3 classes to get the fundamentals certificate. And the people that are here presenting today are all part of that certificate program. Vanessa and I teach 101. Carol teaches with Enid Newberg in 102, and Inga teaches in 103 with Karen McCauley. So you've got all of us represented here if you have any questions about those particular classes as we go through. Then the other big certificate that we have is the prediction certificate. And I know that today we have a lot of our students that are quite far along in their process joining us, because we have recently changed what this looks like. And we're pretty excited about this change, because we can see this being a much deeper dive into all of these really important topics in astrology. So we're now asking you, it hasn't changed, that we're asking you to have 30 weeks of study to complete your certificate. That remains the same, but the requirements are going to be a little bit different. So for any of you who have already started the journey, don't worry. Everything that you've already taken towards this certificate still qualifies. We're not going to ask you to take more classes, although if any of these interest you, of course, you're certainly welcome to. And you could use some of these as electives as well. But you can, for any of you new students, these will all be required classes. The first 5: transits, progressions, solar returns, the moon in astrology, and electional astrology are required. Then you need to take either rectification or the movement practicum in order to complete that certificate.
There's a question in the chat about what time are the classes normally held?
The times do vary. Typically, the classes are going to be on the weekends, not 100% of the time. We do have some classes that are outliers that are run during the week, but for the most part, the classes are all on the weekends. And we try to run them. We base all of our class times on Pacific time. We try to run them usually earlier in the day because that meets more of the time zones around the world, but it will vary from term to term. So both of the fundamentals certificate and the prediction certificate are requirements for the diploma, the KPDA, the Kepler Professional Diploma in Astrology, which is 130 weeks of learning. On top of the fundamentals certificate and the prediction certificate, you need to learn chart calculation, history. You need to have 10 weeks of a consulting component, 5 weeks of research, which will help you develop and present your demonstration of learning, which can be either in a written form or a presentation that you do. And then you have 15 weeks remaining that you can use for electives for anything that might interest you, including professional development or many of the really fascinating elective topics that we have, wherever your interest takes you. And for those who want to take it to the next level, the Advanced Diploma in Astrology, the KAPDA, is an additional 60 weeks of learning that asks you to take 15 more weeks of liberal arts courses, 15 weeks practical application, 15 more weeks of elective, 5 weeks of professional development, and then 10 weeks of advanced practicum or mentorship, and another demonstration of learning, which could be another research project or presentation, or this is where you might start coming in as a TA and helping with the classes. And so that's the program. That's kind of a summary of the program. We haven't talked. Oh, Carol wants to say something. Go ahead,
I
Carol.
see that one of our presenters is a KAPDA graduate. Joyce?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Joyce is here. Excellent.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yes.
So maybe the students will have, the participants here will have some questions for you.
Oh, they can ask anything they want. All the teachers are great.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yes, and Vanessa is also,
made-
Vanessa is one of our graduates as well, yes.
They made a lot of time to answer questions in class. Even if you were still stuck, they would give separate time, make time for you to go over anything.
Good. Thank you, Joyce.
Yes.
So these are the classes that, sorry,
I was
Vanessa?
gonna say, our goal is to make good astrologers, and I think that all of the instructors at Kepler really hold that in the front of their mind. So yeah, that's our main goal, and we try very hard not to leave anyone behind.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is another thing that I should have put on the why choose Kepler. Kepler College is a not-for-profit organization. And so with that in mind, you know, it's like the prices there, everything pretty much goes back to the college and to the instructors. There's not a goal here to make piles of money. As Vanessa said, the goal here is to present good astrology to the community and help you become a better astrologer. So, and I think all of our instructors hold that to heart. Nobody is doing this for the money. That is for sure. The fundamentals classes, fundamentals 1, 2, 3, and 4, are offered 3 times a year. And there's 4 terms that we have each year, starting in the fall with fall, winter, spring, and summer. And then the summer term is really just filled with, it's not largely the electives, but also some of the other 5-week classes. So the 10-week classes that the fundamental certificates are all 10-week classes are only offered 3 times a year. And some of the other classes are offered sometimes, some only once a year, some twice a year. And so we're trying to make that pattern a little more transparent so that it's always at the same time every year. And we're making some great headway on that. And there is a calendar that you can look at to see what we have in the works. But this is what we have as an offering for summer. So have a look, go to the website if you see any classes there that you might be interested in, if you want to get further information on them.
It says spring.
Spring, I'm sorry, spring. Thank you, Inga. And we also, maybe go to the next slide, Vanessa. We also have, if you're not sure where you belong in all of this, we have a free quiz on our website that will give you some good idea about where you stand. So you can just, I'll pop the link maybe here in the chat. You can go to our website and take that free quiz. It doesn't mean that you can't take any of the classes. If you don't pass something, you can sign up for any class. Of course, you want to pay attention to, do I have the appropriate level to succeed in that class? You know, that is definitely something you want to pay attention to. And this quiz will give you some idea about where you stand in that regard. And if you do find that you're falling, I don't think we have a slide on this, Vanessa, but if you do find that you're follow, you know, there's some things that you need to do in order to pass some of those entry-level quizzes. We also have a free astrology course on the website that you can take to make sure that you understand your glyphs. Basically, that's the big part of it, is to make sure that you know how to read your glyphs. You can jump into 101 without any of that information, but it sure makes it a lot easier if you at least have a solid understanding of or memorization of your glyphs and the really fundamental meanings of what those represent.
There's a few really great questions in the chat here. So one of them is, do I have to take the classes in order? And one of them is a related question. Do I need to finish the fundamental certificate before starting the predictive track?
For the fundamentals, I mean, I think it's always a good idea for you to start with the fundamentals. And the thing is that we have astrologers coming in from with all different levels of education. So for some people, you know, we have people starting in 101 that have 20 years of experience, and they just want to make sure that they've rounded out their education and they want to fill in some of the blanks. And I don't know anybody who's done that who has had any regrets about taking that route. So if you already have some solid background in astrology, you potentially could take the predictive modules. But if you don't have a solid background in astrology, I think that would be very challenging for you to take some of those predictive classes. And depending on the class, of course, some of them that are being offered will be a little easier to take without some background. But typically people start with the fundamentals, and they do the fundamentals in order because they build on each other. That particular certificate builds on itself.
There's an important question. Have classes already started for spring?
They have not. We're not going to be starting classes. The spring term opens the weekend after Easter. So that's April, I want to say April 9th. Let me check my calendar. April 10th is when the classrooms will open. And the first live classes, if your class is on a weekend, will be the weekend of April 15 and 16. So normally what we do is we open up the classrooms. You have the ability to do the reading for the first week and look at the assignments. We don't usually ask you to do the assignments until you've had the lecture for the class that is offered usually on the weekend. And then you have the opportunity to ask any questions and go forward from there.
There's a question. I enrolled in the program back in the fall term of 2016. Do these changes affect the diploma requirements for me?
Oh, only, it's not going to take away from anything that you've learned. So we'd have to look at your particular, where you're at with it. So the only thing that would change is obviously you can't take any of the classes that are no longer going to be offered, but you don't have to take any additional classes. So if you need to fill some things in order to complete your diploma, we would just fill it in with the new classes. But if you have any questions, if you want to talk specifically about where you're at, I'm absolutely happy to have a conversation with you, and you can email directly. I will pop my email address in the chat, and I'm happy to chat with any one of you about where you're at any time.
Another good question. I've taken 101, 102, and 103, and I'm wondering if I should take 104 next or 110. But now with the new transits progressions, new 5-week classes, I would prefer to take those since those will be in more depth. What is your advice?
Then I would suggest that you take 104 next, and that will be offered this spring if you're looking at taking a class this spring. And then start in with your predictive class. There are some classes that you could even take this summer. So if you wanted to keep going, that's the path that I would recommend for where you're at.
And another good question, should we take the quiz or just sign up for 101?
I would take the quiz if I were you. I mean, it's short, it's easy, and it will give you a really good idea of where you're at. And there's another really good reason for you to try taking this quiz. And maybe that's on the next slide, Vanessa. I can't remember the exact order. But if you have got a really solid foundation in astrology, you can take this test and you might find that you don't even need to take 101 or 102, that you might be able to test out of them. So if you take the quiz, it helps you to really find your place. We don't want you to be in a class that's way over your head. And we also don't want you to be in a class that you could teach. So if you already have a good, solid foundation in astrology, you can test out of the first 2 fundamentals and chart calculation. So by all means, take the quiz and just see where you're at. Yes, Carol.
In the past, we have had a quiz challenge test for W110, but I think that has been taken off of the course site because that course is only being offered this spring, and then it will be no longer. It's being broken up into the 5-week electives.
Exactly. Yeah. So you won't be able to challenge that course any further. And we are encouraging you to take these more comprehensive classes. For those of you that weren't familiar with the old model, there were 15 weeks of classes that were it was a survey class. So you learned a whole bunch of different techniques in that time frame. And we have decided to switch to this model where you're doing a deeper dive in of some really important techniques.
Yeah, over 30 weeks instead of 15 weeks.
That's right. Yeah, we gave you more electives in the past, and now we're honing it down. I see another good question here about how much homework time you estimate. And typically we would say it depends on the class, of course, but certainly for all of the fundamentals classes, you need, we say, between 8 to 10 hours, including the class time. Now, that's going to depend on how much background you have, how fast of a reader you are. There are some people that find that it takes them less time, and other people that they find takes them a longer time. So much of that is going to be individual.
And are there tutors available if needed?
We do have some TAs that are available to help you, and that's a program that we're working on fleshing out more robustly. So you can hope to see sometime in in the not too distant future, a more formalized tutor program. But by all means, if you need any help, you just need to reach out to probably whoever your instructor is at the time, and they'll do what they can to help you with some assistance.
And that said, many of the classes have live practice labs. So in
Yeah.
addition to the live class where the material is presented, there might be a day or an evening sometime during the week where you get a smaller group together and you have more one-on-one interaction where you kick around a chart, ask all your questions, try charts that you're interested in. You can bring charts to the class, to the labs, to really, play with this in a more interactive setting to support the live classes.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, does anybody have any questions about any of that other than what's already been posed? All right, let's move on then. So, that basically sums up the program. Of course, we haven't talked about all of the electives that we're offering, but you'll be able to find those on our website, and or at least the ones that are currently offered. But we also want to remind everyone that we all, for people who aren't interested in working towards a certificate or a diploma, well, first of all, you can take any class, and you don't have to be working towards a certificate or a diploma. If you just decide that you want to take, I don't know, the solar return class, and you're not interested in working towards anything else, you are by all means welcome to do that. Anybody can do that at any time. And beyond that, we offer regular workshops. Here's a couple of them that we have coming up. Michael Luton, this one is actually live for anyone who is in New York. It's a dual, or what do you call that? Where it's live and online. There's a name for it that seems to have escaped me. But anyway, if you're in New York, you do have the opportunity to do that one live. But for anyone who isn't there, that will also be via Zoom. And Shu Yap is also doing a Ferdaria workshop coming up, which is in 2 parts, which should also be very fascinating. And of course, as most of you know, the next slide, Vanessa.
May I make a comment on this slide?
Yes, please.
I just went in to register for the Michael Luton workshop. There are 2 slides there. One is for the live. So if you're in New York City or going to be in New York City, you can sign up for that one, which, live means meeting in his office. And then there's the Zoom meeting one. So I made a mistake, got in the wrong one, got out and got in the right one. Just pointing that out.
Hybrid, that's the word I was looking for. It's a hybrid workshop.
There's a few questions here. What astrology software is required?
So that's a really good question. For the fundamentals certificate, you don't really have to, buy software. You can get by with everything that you need just by using astro.com. And that would apply for, I'm going to guess, for any of the predictive classes as well. You only need software when you get into some of the more advanced classes. I know that software is required. Actually, I saw Madeline here. Oh, she's popped out. I believe that software is required for if you want to study Uranian astrology. I'm trying to think if there are any others that are required. Can you guys think of any?
There might be in like the astro mapping and like those
right
ones.
Yeah, so some of the classes will require software, but for the most part you can get by without purchasing software because there's so many great free versions that are available right now.
And by the way, Donna, we have a discount for students, Kepler students.
That's right. Yes, we have, once you've registered as a student, you get put into our student lounge, and there you can find some discounts on some of the major software programs that are out there. And, oh, Karen's
Okay,
here.
no astro mapping software is required. Okay.
I'm going to promote Karen to a panelist as well. Sorry, Karen, I didn't see that you were here.
But even
Um,
up in 103 and 201, a lot of students are using astro.com and it works just fine for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's really helpful to have software, but if
Mhm.
that's not in the budget for you, then you can certainly get by without having your own software.
So there's a question here. If I take a couple of classes, 101, 102, and then decide to go on and get the diploma or the certificate, can I do that? Or do I have to declare that I'm in the program for the whole thing from the beginning?
No, you don't have to declare, but you do have to do the homework. So if you decide to take 102 and you just want to sit in and you're maybe participating in the discussion forum, but not doing assignments, and we have lots of people that do decide to do that. They just want the learning. They don't care about the certificate. Then that's one thing. But you can't go back afterwards and say, oh, I've changed my mind. I'm going to hand in all my assignments now, and I want to get credit for the class. But certainly you can take as many classes as you want without declaring that I'm going to take the certificate or I'm going to take the diploma. We just keep track of you. And we know whether you've passed or not. And so that's how you get credit for it, for the certificate or the diploma. Yeah.
If you're not interested in credit, you can take them as audit and just have all of the information available without doing the work. Yeah.
That's right, Inga. And that's another good point that we should probably put in the presentation. You can audit some of the classes. There's actually a decreased price for auditing the classes, but you can't, in that case, you can't take them live. So you can go in and listen to the material later at a decreased rate. But actually, I'm not even sure. Have we even launched that yet? I don't think we've launched that yet, but that's coming. So if you are interested in just auditing some classes and not doing the homework, you can wait for that to come, which would be coming soon.
There's a question about cost.
Cost. Okay, so all of our the cost is going to vary because we do have an early bird discount. So I figured this out and then didn't write it down. If you were to do everything in the at the early bird discount for the entire diploma, you would end up paying $7,345. A certificate, sorry, I'm just doing the math now, would be $1,695. Basically, the regular price of our classes is $295 for a 5-week class and $590 for a 10-week class. But if you register now for the spring term, you will get a discount, an early bird discount. So it'll be less expensive if you register now.
And where on the website can someone go to find the courses individually and how much they cost and the workshops and everything else?
Well, maybe we'll go to the website after we're done with what we're talking about here, hey? Because let's do that. Let's finish the presentation and then we'll pop over to the website. And with that, there's another question there, I think, that wants to look at a syllabus. So yeah. Let's do that.
Question about scholarship.
So let's go to the next couple of slides because we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so this is just our last little, this is where you're going to find not only all of our stored webinars, but there's a whole bunch of other bonus material, interviews with astrologers, some of them that go back quite some time that we had in our archives. And of course, some newer ones that are coming, that are interviews that have happened very recently. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are tons and tons and tons of great information there. That's all available for free. And then I think our next slide does talk about, oh, no, I forgot about this one, Toastmasters. We also have a Toastmasters group. It's not a Kepler College Toastmasters group, but Kepler College sponsors it. It's an independent group that we sponsor. The goal initially was really to present a place for our students to develop their skills, because for so many people, one of the things that they want to do is to be able to present at their local clubs or at conferences. Of course, we know for astrologers, there's lots going on. So Toastmasters is a great way to develop those skills. And this particular club is just for astrologers. Not that we would exclude anyone who wasn't an astrologer, but we do talk a lot of astrology. So it's an environment, of course, where everybody is speaking the same language. If that is something that interests you, you are welcome to attend as a guest, and you can just pop us an email and we will send you the link for that. And we do offer scholarships. Somebody had asked that question. So we do offer scholarships. And of course, we need this to go both ways. If you have the ability to support scholarships, we appreciate so much any donations that you are able to give to help your fellow students. And if you are not in that fortunate position and need to receive a scholarship, we do have opportunity for that as well. So there is a place where you can fill out a form. We are doing, maybe go to the next slide, Vanessa. We are doing what we're calling a sponsorship. So if you click on, or if you go to this link, maybe I'll pop that in the chat as well. You can fill out a form, and what we are trying to do is to make it so that people can sponsor an individual student, either completely or in part, if they have the means to do so. And of course, we're able to offer scholarships through this same application of course, we're not going to be able to give money to everybody who applies, but we certainly, if you need some assistance, please fill out one of those forms and we will either try and match you with a sponsor, or the scholarships are typically reserved, other than our diversity scholarship, the scholarships are typically reserved for people who are already in the program, who have proven their dedication and their commitment to their study, and maybe just need a little bit of assistance in finishing up their program. But everyone is welcome to apply, and we hope that we would get as much money as we needed so that we could give everybody some assistance in that.
There's a question, can I take fundamentals 1, 2, and 3 concurrently?
I wouldn't recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. They build on each other. We've had some people try and do that, and it has not usually ended well.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
I think if you feel like you already have some legs under you, astrologically speaking, you might want to try and test out of one of those, and then take the next one. But that would be a lot of work, especially if you're coming in through the beginning side of it.
Yeah, for sure. But if you were working towards the diploma and you had the time to take multiple classes, there are a few classes that you can take as an entry-level student. So it wouldn't matter when you took them, such as chart calculation. You could take that. I taught chart calculation to somebody who wasn't even an astrologer, and they had no intention of being an astrologer. They were just intrigued by it. You don't need to be an astrologer to learn that. I would say the same, and Inga teaches history. You would say that for history as well, Inga?
Students take history first. It surprises me, but they have, and they've done really well with it. Yeah, I think it's a good background. Mythology has worked that way.
Yeah. And astronomy is another one that I think that you don't need any background in order to take. And in fact, I would say for all three, for the chart calculation, the astronomy, and the history, if you take those ones first, it's going to really, really ground you. You're going to understand, everything that you learn after that much more solidly than if you leave them till the tail end. And then I don't know if we have any students here that can speak to that. But if you wanted to take multiple classes at once, you could. But I think that the best thing is to reach out and help you pair those things up so that you're working in a more systematic way.
Donna, let me interject one thing. With the new predictive 5-week classes out there, I think we're hoping to stack them on the 10 weeks. So first 5 weeks and then another one the second 5 weeks. So you could get 10 credits per term by stacking your 5-week classes.
That's right. Yes, that's a very good point. So you could take them back to back. But the 10-week classes, you wouldn't be able to do that.
As someone who's been through the entire program and then some, there were a couple of terms when I was like, yeah, I can double up, no problem. I agree, like the 10-week classes are pretty substantial. There's a lot of meat on the bone with those 10-week classes. And I found that I had to, there was no time to do anything else like have a life for those. So if you have a life, I would recommend maybe just taking one of them at a time. If you have, for whatever reason, enough time that you can devote your entire life to astrology, you might, be able to do it. But I think I did it twice over the course of about 6 years. And it was, it was like, oh, one is better.
Or one with a workshop or one with a,
yeah, or like one of the,
a lot. Yeah. That would
one
make
of the big classes with like a fun elective that doesn't have so many deep techniques in the homework kind of stuff. Like, yeah, definitely pair them up wisely.
Yeah, for sure. And we're all happy to help you with that.
Yes.
So again, if you have any questions, by all means, reach out. You can reach out to anyone. I'm just happy to put my email address in the email here, or in the chat box here. And you can reach out to me. I might pair you up with somebody else, or I might be able to help you out directly, but certainly we will by all means be happy to chat with you about your goals and the path that you want to take. And all of these are individual to us. Okay. That's that for the presentation. I see another question here of the 3 courses, which you recommend taking first. Elizabeth, are you asking which 3 classes are you referring to? And feel free to just speak out loud.
I don't see anyone there, but the one of the chat asking if they could take chart calculation along with 103.
Absolutely.
I think you could do that.
Yeah, if you have the time to take more than one class at a time, those are great companion classes. I mean, you could take chart calculation along with anything because it's not, it doesn't require any previous knowledge of astrology to take at all. So yeah, by all means, if you have the time for that, do it. Before we jump into, I think we'll go to the website from here.
I'll stop.
Carol or Inga or Karen, do you have anything that you would like to add?
Well, on the website, be sure to show them the Trello board. Donna's setting up there. The Trello board is where you find out which term the course you want is being offered.
That's right. All right.
Elizabeth, you have your hand up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I was asking about the 3 classes. I think it was astronomy, mythology, and history, I think, that you mentioned. Which one do you recommend taking first?
I don't know that it matters.
Nope, there's no prerequisites. And history gives you a good foundation. Astronomy is foundational, and mythology helps you with your keywords. And I have 2 different tracks in there. One for if you're an astrologer, you can answer the questions, the B part of the questions, If you're not, if you're just learning the mythology, you answer the A part of the questions. So
Okay,
be accommodated whichever one you take of those three.
all right,
And
very well.
all
Thank-
of them are really great classes.
Yeah, I see that. That's
Yeah.
why I'm wondering where should I start?
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you.
All right, so here's our website, and of course you can see all the different banners that we have here. Of course, what we have offering now is a good place to look if we wanted to explore the current offerings. We can go to 101, for example, to show you about what the content might be, which for most of you is probably going to be a starting place. So if we go in here we're looking at the spring term, and you'll be able to see all of the offerings that we have for the spring term. If you click on the fundamentals, you will see me and Vanessa. Hello. And of course, here's what we're covering in 101. So we are going to be we're going to be focusing on the signs, really based on their element, mode, and polarity, the archetypal meanings of the planets, what it means to when the planets are retrograde. We look at a lot of patterns, so hemispheres and quadrants, as well as the Jones patterns and the houses, of course, the fundamental building blocks are planets, signs, houses, and aspects. And so we do talk about those. It's a 10-week class, but we spend a lot of time in each class really focusing in on that particular topic. We also do a basic introduction to dignities and debilities. So this isn't like a full exploration of that. They covered that more in 103. And we also do have a 5-week class that's specifically about essential dignity and debility. So this is really just so that you have a little bit of the basics with it. And then we pull it all together to help you create your own interpretation. And so the goal with this class is really so that you're not going to a cookbook, right? I mean, I don't know about you, but that's how I started. When I started looking at charts, it's like, what does this person say? What does that person say? What does that person say? And of course, there's great value in that. And I'm not going to say that I don't do that. I still do that to this day. But what we're trying to get you to do is to pull all the pieces together of everything that you've learned. So you're not reliant on those keywords that, somebody else is saying. It's like, when I pull all of these pieces together, what does that mean to me? So that is the goal with those particular topics. And this is the outline in terms of how we tackle that from week to week.
And I think that one of the beautiful things about 101 is how we absolutely tear everything down back to the studs. And it's, we don't just feed you, okay, Libra means this. You get an idea of why does Libra mean this? Libra means this because it's an air sign, because the ruling planet is Venus, because of the polarity, all of the components that go into why is a sign a particular set of characteristics, and how do each of the planets behave within that environment to express the basic nature of that planet. And then by week 10, you can put it all together into your own insightful delineations.
Mm-hmm. Another advantage, since we're on the website, of being a Kepler College student is that you have access to the Cayley library. That's the library that Jen Zart has. And you do have access to a lot of online resources there, including access to the Mountain Astrologer and I'm trying to remember what the new name for the OPA magazine is. It was called the Career Astrologer, and it's now called, if anyone can remember, I apologize for not remembering the name. So you will have access to those online materials, as well as many other online resources that they have at that library. And yeah, there's some really great benefits to being a member of that particular library that only comes through being a Kepler College student. So another benefit. All of our classes are done through the Moodle classroom site. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Moodle course site, but that is where all of our classes are run. And once you are registered, and some of you might, you know, even as soon as you take the quiz, you're registered into Moodle. So some of you might have already done that and have access. So the more classes that you sign up for, the more it'll just show up on your dashboard, and those will continue to show up in your dashboard for years to come. Required books are an extra cost. Yes.
We
All
do
right.
work very hard to keep that cost down, though.
Yeah, I don't think we don't have any classes where the books are more than $70 US. And certainly many that are significantly less.
And some
All
of
right.
them already own as you go along.
That's right. Yeah, so they do build on. So some of the books that you use in 101, you will also use in 102 or 103 or other future classes. And we try to be conscious of that. Okay, I'm going to, oh, yes.
I also think too that our teachers are helping you build your library.
That's how I see it. Yes. Exactly.
Yes, that's right. I'm going to pop the link to this in the chat. Oh, $70 is the total book cost for who asked that.
Or the maximum.
So this is our Trello board. We've kept some of these older ones up because to give you some idea of what might be offered in the upcoming terms, and those will come down as these things come up. But you can at least see here what we have planned for the spring and the fall. And these will get populated as we go. Our goal, of course, is to get all of this worked out for a year in advance so you can do a whole plan. You can plan your whole year out, or indeed your whole program. So this is another thing that's in the work, but you can at least see at a glance what's going to be offered this spring and this summer. And these are subject to change because we do have some changes. We do have stuff happens even with our faculty. So sometimes people commit to teaching a class and then they have to move it to a different term for whatever reason. But this is the plan. These are our plans. That's what we know is our goal. And I've popped the link in the chat there.
It's also available on our homepage as well.
It is, yes.
And Lisa, the courses you've taken should show up in Moodle as well. When you go to your profile, they'll show up in a list.
And if you do email Jeannie, our registrar, and she'll send you a transcript actually with a little checkbox of all that you've taken and all that you need to complete. If that is helpful to you.
Important question. When does early bird discount end?
Early bird discount ends. Let me just pull up my calendar here. Ends on the 31st. So you've got a week, basically. The 31st of March is the early bird deadline end date. Yeah. I don't know if I have anything else to say. Do any of you have anything to add?
I'm just so happy to see familiar and new people here joining us. If anybody has any questions about anything, speak up.
Yeah, by all
Hi,
means. And
this
if
is Joyce. You skipped over my question.
Oh,
I was asking if it would be a consideration for the chart calculation class, if it could be linked with NCGR, where you could take your certification test right after the course.
That's a good
Just
idea.
just a consideration to work, perhaps even a review class in chart calculation with a link, because they're online, their tests are all online now.
If you are working towards your Kepler College diploma, you don't have to write those you don't have to take those NCGR exams. They recognize that that our chart calculation is adequate for their
No, they did
certification.
not. No, they did not. Level 4 requires that you calculate a chart.
I think they did recently change that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I think they
Oh,
changed,
okay.
yeah, so
Okay, I
that
didn't
didn't used to
realize
be
that.
true, and now it is true. I think you do have to take the chart calculation additionally.
Okay, I
To
didn't realize
qualify
that.
for level
Yeah.
4, that's the test that you're required to take. And I'm very rusty. It's been a long time since I took chart calculation, and
I'll
I
take it with you, Joyce.
need a lot of visual help again. But something to consider perhaps, Donna.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, I didn't realize they had made that change. So yeah, that's something
Double
we should
check
definitely think about.
The
Mm.
the
Yeah.
other groups.
Mhm.
Yes,
whether-
yes, Joan, all classes are online.
Yes. Yeah, we don't have an actual building. The whole Kepler College experience is online, other than the Michael Luton workshop in New York.
Which is a hybrid, yes.
Yes. Yeah, great.
Toby, I see your hand up. You have a question?
Hi, yes. Well, thank y'all for this presentation, first off, but I'm just on the verge of updating my technology, and I understand that it's not a requirement to have the software, but I'm sort of, well, I'm just traditionally a Mac user, and I'm considering if I should enter into the Windows realm again for, it seems like SolarFire and Sirius. A lot of them seem to only run on Windows, and there's just like AstroGold for the Mac, I think.
SolarFire does now have a Windows version, but what I've noticed over the years is most students will end up with an inexpensive Windows PC at some time, at some point in their studies. Yeah.
Okay.
I know personally for me, I went to the PC universe because of the astrology software.
Right.
There are just
Okay.
more options,
It's
and
faster, it's
more
better.
features available, and just, I think it depends how you want to handle your practice or what you're planning to do with astrology. But for me, having a client base, I really appreciated what SolarFire could do, and that was the decider for me.
Yeah.
Said many, many, many people love AstroGold, and it works just fine for them.
Thank you so
I would
much.
suggest possibly in the future, we could have someone present a webinar on how to use AstroGold, because a lot of people are buying it and still asking questions.
I think that's in the works, actually. I think we've got that webinar on the calendar.
So the question
that's
here
timely.
is, what software is most recommended for Windows? There's a lot of different options. SolarFire is probably the most popular.
Or Sirius. I would say those two
Yeah, both of
are
those.
yeah, probably equally loved.
And both of those discounts on in the bookstore, right?
We have discounts on AstroGold and Sirius and SolarFire for registered students. Yeah.
And I can tell you, I have more than made my money back.
Yeah, and somebody had asked, I saw in the chat, whether this presentation would be available. Yeah, we'll pop it up on our YouTube channel. So if you want to listen to it again, or if you missed anything, certainly, and for those who weren't able to attend live, that is where you will be able to find it. Yeah. Great. Are there any other questions? All right. Well, oh, there's a hand. I see a hand.
One question, I'm looking for your email address, Donna. It
Oh, I'll
probably is
just
here
pop it in
someplace.
the chat again. Yeah, I'll just pop it in again
Thank
just to make sure. I'll pop in mine. And for those who aren't live, it's Donna@KeplerCollege.org. And also, if you want to contact the registrar, that's registrar@KeplerCollege.org. And that is Jeannie, and she can help any of you existing students who have questions about where you're at. If you want a transcript of what you're doing and what you have left to do, she will help you with that. And for any new students who just have general questions, Jeannie or I will both either help you directly or point you in the right direction.
I see so
Great.
many old friends in the list here too. Hello,
Mhm.
everybody.
Absolutely. Hi, Morgan. Good to see you here.
Kathy, Morgan, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Good to see you all. Excellent. All right. Thank you all for coming. It was great to see, well, your names at least. There's many of you that we recognize, and we welcome all of you who are here for the first time and look forward to seeing you in some of our upcoming classes. And
Thank you so
as we
much for this.
said, yeah, thank you. Please reach out if you have any questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Hi.
Have a wonderful